Hello and welcome to another video. Today's topic is getting to know Druid. First, a warning. The following video is unsuitable for seasoned players. If you know Druid, outside and in, do not watch this video. Thank you for listening. So, with that out the way, let's move on to the topic of the video. So, I decided to do some videos which basically just explain the ins and outs of the profession, each profession, so there'll be 9 of them. And we'll talk about stuff that might be fairly obvious to seasoned players, but people that are just getting into the game or they're trying a new profession, this is the stuff you need to know about the Druid profession. So let's get into it. Let's look at the profession as a whole. Why do you use Druid? What is it for? What are the pros and cons? Well, the pros are it's very good team utility. It is very good at healing. These are 2 very useful things in high-end content. They never used to be, but they are now. What is it bad at? What are the cons for the profession? It's not got good damage. If you need damage, you don't bring a Druid to the party. That's just the sad fact of the matter. If you're interested in those big numbers, then you're probably looking at the wrong profession. So those are the pros and cons of Druid. Let's get a bit more into the details of the equipment. So we're using sword, axe, and staff. Why are we using sword, axe, and staff? Sword axe is the best damage for the ranger / druid profession, and you always want to be putting out decent damage at certain times when you're playing in this game. At the end of the day, it's all about damage. But when it's not about damage, is when it's about healing. And healing for the druid profession is really strong, and you need a staff to heal through. High-end content damage that your party might get. So let's have a look at the equipment. So I am going to tell you exactly what I have, but I'd like to explain the gist of what I have rather than go into specifics of equipment, because you can sort of choose what you like to a certain degree. So what I have is Zealots armor. Why do I have Zealots? I have Zealots on my weapons as well. I have Zealots because they're a nice halfway house between power, sort of putting out those big numbers that I mentioned earlier, and healing. So what do you give up? This is power, precision, and healing power, with power as the main stat. Well, if you look over here to my accessories, these are Berserker. This is what most people run on damage builds. And that's power, precision, and ferocity, with power as the main stat. So we're essentially swapping ferocity for healing power. So you still get the power and the precision out of your build, and instead you get healing power, which will massively increase the amount of healing. Combined with the runes you can see there. There are a few options for runes. I've gone for the Rune of the Monk. It's more about that number 10 bonus, that plus 10% outgoing healing effectiveness to allies. From this you'll get a huge boost to the amount of healing that you do to your party. Similarly, for sigils, I've got the Superior Sigil of Transference, which also increases your healing by 10%. You'll get way more healing from a 10% effectiveness increase than you will from, say, the 5 bonus on the rune, which is plus 100 healing. I've also got the Sigil of Transference on my offhand as well. So why have I got it on what I said previously was my damage weapons? I've got it because when you go into Celestial Avatar, you can't always be on the weapon that you want to be on. So you need that 10% outgoing effectiveness, even if you're in your damage weapons. So I've got a Superior Sigil of Force to highlight that I'm doing damage when I've got my sword out, and I've got Sigil of Water. You can use other similar sigils for healing when I'm using the staff. So that's an overview of the equipment. I will just say this: there are a lot of other options. I also have a set of Magi's trinkets, actually, you can see here, for when I want to heal even more. A lot of people actually go full Magi's and drop. I mean, the stats here are precision, vitality, and healing power as a max. So you end up with way more healing power if you go Magi's than Zealots. Why I like this is it's a nice halfway house between doing damage and actually healing. So there's lots of options, but that's what I've gone for. So let's have a look at the traits. So for traits, if you like, you can just pause the video now and just select them all. I will go through them because I feel it's important when you're getting to know a profession to understand why you're picking various things. So what do we have here? We have boons and conditions caused by traps last longer. The only reason I have this is to boost the regen on this. And then we have Spotter. Spotter increase the precision of nearby allies. As I mentioned earlier, team utility is a big part of the Druid profession. This massively increases the damage of your build. And Quick Draw. When swapping weapons, the next ranger weapon skill you will use will recharge faster. I'll talk about this a bit later on. It's a big part of how I specifically play the profession. It's up to you, what you want to pick here. But yeah, skirmishing, and then nature magic. I've gone for when you begin reviving an ally, you use search and rescue. Use search and rescue on them and increase the revive speed. So, increasing the revive speed, not actually important. What is important? When you begin reviving an ally, use search and rescue. So if you don't know what search and rescue is, it's this ability here. Your pet teleports to a downed ally and begins reviving them. As a druid, you do not want to revive people yourself. Why don't you want to revive people yourself? Because you're going to be healing people. You're going to be healing people, so if you stop for 5 seconds, your team could die. But luckily you have another option. You start reviving them and then you stop. And that procs this, search and rescue happens, and your pet does the rest of the job for you. And we've got vigorous training. Pets grant vigor to nearby allies when you swap. That's just a nice boon. And we've got your pet heals allies when executing an F2 ability. So I'll talk about pets a little bit later on. And this become, obviously healing's nice when you part of your build is about healing, so this is fairly obvious. Primal echoes echoes reduces the recharge of staff skills and daze nearby foes when you swap to spell. Reducing the recharge of healing stuff is nice. Plus the ability to swap to staff when there's a break bar and actually do some damage to a break bar, that's nice. Here, reduces the recharge of glyphs. We'll be using glyphs in this build. I mean, there's obviously 2 on my bar already. I'll discuss a few other options. The main point of this is that it does extra healing when you use a glyph, so that's very useful. And then Grace of the Land, the bread and butter of any druid build. Allows you heal with celestial avatar abilities, gain increased damage. So you'll be getting stacks of this on your entire party and massively increasing the damage of your party. And it's pretty much that simple. So those are the traits I've gone for. Obviously, there's options, but I could spend all day talking about the options for the traits. So that's what I've gone for. The pets and skills for this profession. Well, let's talk about the pets first. You can see here my black bear, El Tanko. I've got 4 pets I essentially use when I'm playing this profession. This guy is good when you need to block projectiles. You can put your pet in the way and then stand in the way of him. Also, I like the synergy with certain other things. You can look at my Druid build if you're interested in it a bit more. But let's have a look at the other pets I use. So, oh god, right, and this guy will break Barrow. Obviously, using this guy to break bars. The Electric Wyvern is the most useful pet for breaking break bars. It has a launch in its normal stuff, and then it has, or I don't know if it's a launch or not. It's actually a knockback. But its Lightning Assault does a lot to break bars. So that's why we picked that. And then there's the Lynx. Swap to him for a sec. El Damaggio. This is exactly what it says on the tin. I picked this for when damage is the only thing I need. The Lynx is the highest damage pet. And I have another video about that if you're interested in that. Comparing pet damages. And then finally, but not least, we have Furiosa. This is for when you want to be the person that provides fury to your team. So if nobody else is providing fury to your team, bring a tiger and you'll get the job done. This is 100% fury if you're, I mean, you can see there, fury 15 seconds, cooldown of 10 seconds. So it's 100% fury for your team all the time. Very useful pet. So that's the pets. For utility skills, what have we gone for? Well, as I mentioned earlier when I was talking about traits, I've gone for Healing Spring, which combined with boons and conditions caused by traps lasts longer, gives you much longer regen, and you can see here, it's a bit misleading, that figure isn't 10,000 heal over 8 seconds, but it's still an impressive amount of regen, which is, at the end of the day, how you get this Celestial Bar to fill up fast, is by doing healing. Damage also fills the bar up, but healing fills the bar up faster. So having regen on your entire party means that when anyone takes damage, it immediately starts ticking away, building up this bar. So let's look at some utility skills that we'll be using with this. Currently I have the Glyph of Empowerment. This is very useful for power groups, so if you've got like warriors and revenants and things like that. This is going to boost the damage of your party by 10% for 6 seconds every 16 seconds. So you can see how useful that would be for high level content. And it's a unique damage multiplier, which is what makes this profession so good as team utility. Here I have Guard, and this is just a little thing I like, using Guard with Whirling Defense. But let's look at some more average picks here. So, the Glyph of Alignment. You might think, well, this looks a bit terrible. It does conditions, and you're a power build, so why would you pick this? And the reason you pick it is because in Celestial Avatar, this turns into a heal, quite a large heal at that, something like 3.5k. So this is part of your burst heal combat, but you don't use it outside of Celestial Avatar. And then I've got, in the final slot, I've got Sun Spirit. Why have I got Sun Spirit? Because earlier on today, I was with a group that was predominantly conditions. So, what do I mean? This thing summons a Sun Spirit, which grants eyes the chance to inflict burning. So burning will do more damage if your team is Condi. If your team is power, then you want to go with Frost Spirit. So you can see here already how we're getting huge amounts of team damage bonus, right? We got the 10% from this. Well, I mean 7.5% if you want to get nitpicky, 75% chance to get 10%. We've got the 10% from this, and we've got the Grace of the Land bonuses, which can stack up to 5 times, giving you another 15% bonus to your team. So you can see it's important to fill this bar up, get into Grace of the Land, start healing people, start giving them that bonus, give them this bonus, give them this bonus, give them regen, and you start getting really nice, you know, with spotter, really nice team utility to increase your party's damage. That's a big reason why people take druids. Makes a massive difference. People have started realizing this, particularly in raids, where damage is really important. And then for the elite, I've gone for the Glyph of Unity. So tether yourself to nearby foes. Whenever you take damage, deal damage to foes tethered to you. So I don't tend to use this outside of Celestial Avatar, because in Celestial Avatar it's tether yourself to nearby allies. Whenever you heal nearby allies. So this is, it just supercharges your heals. So if your party's like in real trouble, you use this when you're in Celestial Avatar, and then when you're doing your heal combos and everything, it will end up giving much more healing to your party and keeping them alive under more strenuous circumstances. So that's the skills. I've come to Verdant Brink to discuss like essentially how to play when I'm playing this profession. So there are two modes you go into when you're playing. There's sort of damage and there's sort of healing. So damage, as I spoke earlier, is about sword and axe offhand. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be placing the Frost Spirit down. We're going to be using Glyph of Empowerment. And we're just going to be auto-attacking. We're going to be placing the Healing Spring down so we can charge up the Celestial Avatar bar. And then when Celestial Avatar pops, we're going to be going into Celestial Avatar. So I said this was the damage part, so why am I in Celestial Avatar? It's more important to get the Grace of a Land bonus on your party than it is to keep doing your own damage. So what are the good damage abilities on sword while we're out of Celestial Avatar? We have your auto attack, and we have the number 5. So that's basically all you're going to be wanting to do. The number 4 skill is Path of Scars as well, which will hit for some damage, but more importantly is decent because it does pull, so that affects break bars. So those are the things to remember when you're in damage mode. I will talk more in detail about Celestial Avatar when we're talking about healing, but let's first just have a look at the staff skills. So your auto attack, fire a concentrated beam in line, damaging the targeted foe and healing allies inside of the beam. So let's demonstrate how this works. Essentially, it means you keep the thing you want to get healed between you and your target. So I'm going to send my bear on a suicide mission. I was hoping it would just target my bear, but never mind. So you can see here, you can see the little green numbers appear on the bear. That's healing my bear a little bit. So let's also put the number 2 skill around it. You can see it's revolving round, and if I just stow my thing there, you can see it's doing also reasonable heal per second on my bear just from the number 2 skill. So just show that again. So you see you see that light that's revolving around? That's doing that. I'm going to put regen back on my bear as well. Then the burst heal is the number 3 skill. So that does 2.5k-ish burst heal, and you can see he immediately jumped up a fair amount. And also you can use your F2 skill, and this will give nice healing, not to the actual bear itself, so it's difficult to demonstrate, but it will give it to your party. These beetles. Right, so I'm in Celestial Avatar now. I can demonstrate. The number 4 skill is your bread and butter. Oh, if they stop knocking me down. Is your bread and butter? Oh, really? Okay, because I'm going to have to build up my Celestial Avatar again. Okay, so let's just quickly do that. 4 skill does massive healing around you in pulses. So this is your bread and butter. You can see number 1378, lots of 1378 coming out. You can use the Glyph of Alignment. You saw that was a 3.5k. You can also use your ultimate when you're in Celestial Avatar to demonstrate well. Oh, I won't tell this guy to not kill him. To get a decent heal, and then so that's that. So your number 4 skill is playable. Number 3 is a nice burst heal, so that like it did 1.9k. And apart from that, you have the number 2 skill, which remove conditions. I don't know if he hasn't got any conditions on him, but you know, sometimes he might have conditions on it. You might have conditions on him, so like using the number 2 skill in Celestial Avatar. But apart from that, you want to spam the number 1 skill in Celestial Avatar, and that's how you're going to be healing. You're going to be using the number 2 skill, the Revolution, using your Healing Spring to build up. Meanwhile, you're still doing the other things like putting Glyph of Empowerment down and the thing. We're going to use my ultimate now to boost my self-healing and healing of allies. Use number 4 skill, use number 3 skill. There's no conditions, so I'm actually just going to spam 1. And you can see, like, I'm just topping him up nicely. He doesn't even need what I'm giving him. But yeah, so you can see how you can get really nice healing from those abilities. I will just now kill this guy. And kill this guy. Right, we're back in Celestial Avatar. I think I've been through all these skills now. Yeah, pretty much. So we'll just talk about the last 2 staff skills because I've not mentioned them yet. This is Vine Surge, which is a line immobilize, which also removes condis that are, you know, movement based on your allies. So that's can be useful, but it's mostly about, you know, if you see that break bar, you can use immobilize on it. And Sublime Conversion. So let's see if we can annoy this guy. You see Sublime Conversion converts. Alright, he's not a ranged person, but so it's completely invalidated the test. I thought he had a bow on him. But yeah, so Sublime Conversion changes projectiles into heals when the arrows or whatever hit the barrier. They change it to heals, so that's useful. There's lots of times in the high level paint game where you want to be reflecting projectiles or destroying projectiles. So this is a very good way. You can also destroy projectiles with this. Blocks projectiles while damaging foes. That can be very useful. I should really learn how to dodge these guys. But that's basically the abilities. The abilities you want to be using in a fight. So when you're damaging, you're still using things like Glyph of Empowerment, you know, the Frost Spirit. And when you're healing, you use the number 4 skill, the number 3 skill, 2 if there are conditions, and spam 1 if you need more healing. If you don't, go straight out of Celestial Avatar, change to the staff. You know, you can. I'm using the number 2 skill now, and it's gonna. You saw that 2k heal on me when the F2 rather, and this is just essentially how you keep things alive. You know, you can do this I could do this pretty indefinitely with this bear. Like, he's never gonna die. I mean, obviously he's really tanky, but you can see what's going on. So I'm going to quickly mention the food and the utilities that we'll be using in hard content to boost the natural power of this build. So what have I got here? I've got delicious rice balls. I use these pretty much any time I'm playing this. They're quite cheap. Buy them from the trading post. And the plus 10% healing effectiveness outgoing. You know, if you remember, our equipment also has 10% here and 10% here, so this adds another 10%. Way more than the 100 healing power will do, but the 100 healing power is not bad, obviously. So that's an absolute must. And Furious Tuning Crystals is my other one. Plus 100 healing and gain ferocity equal to 5% of your healing. So this is obviously for power-based healing builds. This will add to your damage, and obviously the 100 healing is nice as well. You have to create this with a crafter. I will pop the recipe up on the screen now. And yeah, that's the consumables I would use for this build. You would only use this. It's a lot more expensive to make than this is to buy. You would only use this in the hardest of situations. And so that's the consumables. So that's it for the guide, essentially. We've spoken about most of everything I can think about the profession. If I have missed anything out, tell me in the comments below, and I might add a note if I can make a quick addendum. That might be handy. But hopefully you now have a basic understanding of what you should be doing in a fight, what weapons are good, what pets are good, what skills are good. A lot of it's open to interpretation, as you know, in this game. I like to think outside the box, but I'm explaining the box right now, so that's all fine. So that's the Druid profession. And thanks for watching. Tell a friend.